Do you remember the distressing story of Pashun Jeffery and Taylen Mosley? Pashun was the 20-year-old mother of 2-year-old Taylen. Both were murdered by Thomas Mosley. He stabbed his girlfriend Pashun over 100 times and then drove a few miles away and threw his 2-year-old son into a lake of alligators. It was a story that left many asking, how could something like this happen? This update centers around this story, the events of March 30th, 2023, the tragic discoveries that followed, and recent updates in the case. We're going to get into it, but first be sure to click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on updates to this story, trending topics, and so much more. Now let's get into it. I'll give you a Sleuthy summary here, but if you want the full story, you can catch up on the details here in Ultimate Betrayal. On that fateful day, Theo, a great aunt, grew increasingly anxious when her repeated calls to her great-niece Pashun went unanswered. It wasn't like Pashun to ignore her calls. Concerned, Theo decided to pay a visit to Pashun's apartment during her lunch break. And what she found was beyond anyone's worst nightmare. The apartment was eerily quiet, and a trail of blood led from the door to the sidewalk. As she called for assistance, a gruesome discovery awaited inside. Pashun lay lifeless in a pool of blood with more than 100 sharp force wounds, and her 2-year-old son, Taylen, was nowhere to be found. This tragic discovery set off a chain of events that would send shockwaves through the community and law enforcement agencies alike. But to understand the full extent of this heart-wrenching story, we need to backtrack. March 29, 2023. It all began on March 29, 2023, when Pashun and Taylen, along with other family members, gathered to celebrate Thomas's 21st birthday. The party gradually wound down, leaving only Pashun, Taylen, and Thomas in the apartment. That evening, neighbors reported hearing a commotion in Pashun's apartment around 8:30 p.m. It was loud enough to cause concerns, but not enough to prompt immediate calls to the police. About 15 minutes after the commotion, Thomas left the apartment with Pashun's cell phone, driving across town to Dale Holmes Park. His arrival at his mother's home with visible injuries raised immediate concern. His mother urged him to seek medical attention, and Thomas was admitted to the hospital. The hospital staff noticed wounds consistent with a knife attack and immediately called the police. But where was Pashun? And more urgently, where was Taylen? The following day, Aunt Theo, during a scheduled FaceTime call, couldn't reach Pashun. Her visit to Pashun's apartment led to the discovery of a gruesome scene and the realization that Taylen was missing. As news spread, the community and law enforcement agencies sprang into action. Amber Alerts were issued, and an extensive search for Taylen commenced. March 31st, 2023. On March 31st, another call for help went out, and a $5,000 reward was offered for information regarding the homicide and missing baby Taylen. Volunteers joined the search, but the tragic discovery would come later that evening when a local fisherman spotted an alligator in Lake Maggiore with something large in its mouth. Police arrived, and a shot was fired to recover Taylen's body. 24 days later, the Pinellas County Medical Examiner confirmed that Taylen had drowned, adding another layer of sorrow to this already devastating story. As investigators combed through Pashun's apartment, they uncovered crucial evidence including a bloody footprint with a distinctive Gucci emblem and a cleaning bottle with Thomas Mosley's fingerprint stained with blood. Based on the evidence and timeline, a chilling sequence of events emerged. Thomas, consumed by rage, allegedly launched a vicious attack on Pashun, resulting in over 100 sharp force wounds. He then allegedly took Taylen and drove to Del Holmes Park, where he tragically discarded his own son in the lake, leading to Taylen's drowning. The consequences of this unspeakable act of cruelty have led to Thomas Mosley being charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder in the deaths of 20-year-old Pashun and their son, Taylen Mosley. However, in recent news, the legal proceedings took a complicated turn when a judge ruled Thomas Mosley was incompetent for trial after reviewing mental evaluations from 2 court-appointed doctors.
As Pashun Jeffery and Taylen Mosley's family sat in the courtroom Wednesday, Thomas Mosley appeared before a judge.
And I'll find that Mr. Mosley is not competent to proceed. I'll find that he is restorable.
Judge Susan St. John agreed with 2 court-appointed doctors who evaluated Mosley. They say the state psychiatric hospital is the best place for him right now. Mosley is accused of stabbing Jeffery more than 100 times in her St. Pete home in March and killing their 2-year-old son, Taylen. His body was found in a lake. Police say evidence puts Mosley at both scenes.
This is not a case where he's walking free. He's not a case where because he's incompetent today doesn't mean he won't be tried in the future. This is a case where, as we sit right now, he's found to be incompetent, and as a result, they need to send him to the state hospital to restore that competence.
Anthony Rickman, a defense attorney not affiliated with the case, says there's a difference between competency and insanity.
Right now, he's not saying, hey, I was insane at the time of the offense. We're talking about, as it stands right now, he's not competent to stand trial. And that's different than somebody being insane or raising that insanity defense.
Following this ruling, Thomas Mosley was transferred to the State Psychiatric Hospital in Chattahoochee, Florida, and his case will be reevaluated in April 2024. It's worth noting that Thomas had previously pleaded not guilty to the charges in May.
Thomas Mosley walked into a courtroom on the 4th floor here at the Pinellas County Courthouse Friday morning. He didn't say a word, but his attorneys entered him into a not guilty plea, waiving arraignment.
We're entering a plea of not guilty on Mr. Mosley's behalf.
Prosecutors sought the death penalty for Thomas if he were to be convicted. The evaluation and determination of a defendant's competence to stand trial are a fundamental part of the legal due process, ensuring that the defendant can actively participate in their defense. Thomas Mosley's next evaluation in court will be held on April 22, 2024 at 8:30 a.m. The consequences of this unspeakable tragedy have left a community in mourning, and the legal proceedings have added yet another layer of complexity to this already heart-wrenching story. Our thoughts are with the family, and we hope that justice will be served for Pashun and Taylen. Now that you're all caught up, what do you think will happen? Do you think Thomas will ever face a jury of his peers? Let's continue the conversation down in the comments section below. As always, I'll meet you there.